Hello and welcome to Hollie's Hotspurs. For once, we are actually living lavish. It's been a long time coming, but it's finally here. And tonight, to go over that win against Aston Villa, I have joined by two brilliant guests once again. So with me, I have Spurs Views, also known as Dáire. Dáire, how are you tonight?
All good, Hollie. Really appreciate you getting me on. Delighted to be here.
No worries, it's a pleasure. It's all mine. It's all mine. And also, I'm joined by Dakota from Podspur. Dakota, how are you tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm to be on the channel, and I'm even more glad that I'm here talking about a win with you guys. I feel like it's been a minute.
It has been a very, very long time, I must admit. But hey, we have finally got 3 points on the board. And to be fair to you, I know it might be too soon to say that top four was out the question. And I thought our season was dead and buried on Thursday. I must say I was very negative then. But it could be still on. You never know. But anyway, I'm going to hit off with this game. So obviously, we kind of saw that it was a kind of a change in formation, so to speak. I'm still sat here trying to figure out what it is. But anyway, to start with, Dáire, I thought I'd come to you. So obviously, that formation was something different. Jose was trying something different. So what did you make of it all?
Yeah, when the lineup came out, I was a bit perplexed really at what he was trying to do, because I suppose in the last month and a half, nearly 2 months, I thought we kind of sorted a system that was kind of a workable system, you know, with Bale on the right, Lucas on the left, or Lucas playing as a number 10 or whatever, and the Son on the left. But I suppose with Sonny out and with our last two absolutely putrid performances, I suppose it kind of needed a bit of a shake-up, and it worked. I've been kind of a bastion for Tangnga to be playing in centre back, but this season he kind of seems to be playing right back, and I thought he was brilliant again. I thought he was absolutely outstanding, because I thought originally when I saw him playing right back under Jose, I was like, oh, I don't want him to kind of fall under the same bracket as Dáire did and be kind of confused about what his position is going forward in his career. But right back might be the one for him, because I thought he was outstanding again last night. He was able to, he's really worked on, I feel like his bursts down the line and stuff like that, because we all know he's a great defender, but he's really getting on with his attacking play. So I thought he was brilliant, and I thought the formation kind of worked. I thought Vinicius and Kane, they bounced off each other well. It allowed Kane to kind of come back, and kind of I don't want to call it the Rooney role, because he's actually better at it than Rooney is or was, but he kind of is occupying that kind of role when Rooney was playing up front, and he kind of back into that kind of cam role later in his career. I think Kane might be doing that himself. Like, his passing range, as we know, was outstanding. He's top assists in the league. But I thought he played very well, really professional performance. And yeah, I actually thought the formation worked quite well. Lo Celso on the wing, don't know about that going forward, but he was all right. He did grand. I mean, it was his first start back, so I mean, you couldn't expect too much from him. But no, I thought it was a really good performance overall. Shaky enough at the back, but what else is new? But overall, pretty positive, I thought.
I was going to say, that's just the generic thing in this Tottenham side at the minute. I don't think there's no escaping that, to be honest. But I just want to come to you, Dakota. Obviously, we've touched on this Tangnga partnership, but also I'd like to talk about Rodon, because I don't know where he's been for God knows how long. So what did you make of him last night? Do you think maybe there's a place for him and Tangnga to maybe start in the next game after the international break?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to real quick, because I know my head is as shaky as it used to be. I'm going to move room to one that's got a better connection. But yeah, so I'm kind of in that same boat. I've been hoping for Jaffet to start, hoping for him to get some. I know Rodon is actually somebody else that I've clamoring for. I think he is, at least our most consistent center back based on the minutes that he's played. So I loved that Davinson Sanchez, Joe Rodon partnership at the back. I think it's got the most potential moving forward, because as much as we all want a new center back in the summer, I think we got to be pretty realistic and know that that's not going to come in probably. So we need to have our eyes for the future. And I think Davinson Sanchez and Joe Rodon offer us the most stability in the middle, which, sounds weird saying that Davinson Sanchez is going to be a consistent force in the center of the park. But I was also really impressed with Jaffet playing at right back yesterday. He looked really comfortable on the ball too, taking guys on, trying to go by people. You can tell that he's still a little bit unsure of what to do with the ball when he gets it, because he's just used to finding someone in the midfield and getting rid. And now he's got a little bit more responsibility with it. So Serge Aurier had an illness yesterday. I don't really know that I necessarily believe that. And then we all know what Matt Doherty's season has been. So I wouldn't be surprised if the back four we saw start yesterday is the back four that we see for the majority of the rest of the season, just because there's youth, there's energy. Those guys are hungry. A couple of them haven't played a lot this season. They want to prove their worth in this side and to Jose. So I liked what I saw from the back line yesterday, even with the little bit of wobbles in the beginning of the game. And I hope we get to see it more often as the season goes on.
I think that's a good point. I mean, it was a completely different contrast from Thursday. And my thought going into Thursday, you'd think the likes of Winks and Sissoko would have the energy and the hunger to try and fight back into the Premier League spot and into the starting 11. But that wasn't the case. But the likes of Tangnga and Rodon, you can really see that they were wearing that badge of pride and they wanted to be in that starting 11. So moving slightly away from the likes of the defence, I know we've slightly touched on the Vinny and Kane scenario, but how refreshing was it to also see Lucas playing out of his skin last night, Dáire? What do you make of Lucas?
Oh my God, he has been just a revelation the last month. I have been so surprised because, in fairness, I'm going to hang my head in shame here and say I wanted him to go, to be honest. Even say the start of this season, I was like, Luke's not going to cut it for me. I know he's had that iconic Amsterdam moment, but I've always said he's living off it. But he's really impressed me. I think with Lucas is, I've always said he does 90% of the game really well. He tracks back for you, he's bursting with energy, but it's always been his final pass or his decision making and his shooting that's let him down. But in the last few games, he's been producing, and he's been producing regularly. And to be honest, he was our best player last night. You could say he's been our best player for the last 2 weeks, even nearly, to be honest. He really fights for you. Him and Lamela have a very similar trait that way, in that they mightn't have the best productivity rate as a winger should, but they'll always fight for the badge. And I think that's something that we needed in the worst way last night, because that's not what we saw in the last two games, especially against Arsenal. It was just, as multiple players have said, it was a disgrace. Lucas was outstanding. I mean, it's just his energy, and even how he wins the ball, how he reads the game. If you even looked at the highlights last night, how he reads from where the defender's going, because their passes weren't that bad. Villa's passing wasn't awful. It's just how he reads them and he intercepts them, and his burst of pace, they just couldn't deal with him whatsoever. He seems way more assertive on the ball now as well, and they just couldn't deal with him at all. And when he's in that kind of form, there's no stopping him.
It is, and it's funny you say, obviously, the fact that we've kind of missed that fight for the badge, but it's true, and I feel like Lucas is kind of the saviour when we get to our bad points. Obviously, in that UCL, we were riding on trying to get the line over the line, basically, but last night it was kind of the same thing. We needed someone to shine, and Lucas was that shining point. So Dakota, obviously, we know, and I know Luke has said in the chat, obviously, Lucas and Vinny work well together. We know there's Brazilian ties there, but what did you make, obviously, of the goal that they managed to work together to try and get into the back of the net, which actually went on and worked?
Yeah, I mean, exactly to the point that was just made. Lucas created that goal by working hard and knowing where that pass was going to come. Obviously, it's kind of telegraphed. There's only really one place that the keeper could put it, but Lucas still has to make that play, right? And then he's got to get himself into a good position after he passes the ball off to Kane. And then, whether it was luck or whether he just perfectly placed it to the millimeter of where it needed to go, he fizzed in that cross that was right to the foot that missed every defender and was right out of the reach of the keeper. And there's obviously this Brazilian connection between Vinicius and Lucas, and Lucas has helped Vinicius get settled in London. And I think that Lucas really wants to see Vinicius succeed. Like, it's kind of inspiring, I guess, in a way, but also kind of weird for, I guess a common trope is that professional athletes care a lot more about themselves and their own success than anything else. But I think that's the opposite with this scenario. I think Lucas wants Vinicius to be 10 times the player that Lucas sees himself as being. And I think that comes through with their relationship. And I think it came through with their celebration. Lucas looked like he scored the goal when Vinicius put that ball on the back of the net yesterday. And, that kind of attitude of togetherness, which is exactly what Hugo said on Thursday. He said, we normally rely on that. And tonight, I don't think we really could. But that relationship that they have is just going to permeate through the whole squad. If Lucas and Vinicius have this really brotherly tie about them, it's just going to grow in the squad. And I think we really saw the squad be together yesterday, even in the way that they, I look at defending. Everybody defended like they were trying to keep someone else from having to make the play. Like, they wanted to cover their teammates' backs, and they wanted to be exactly where they needed to be so the rest of the team would succeed. And that's I loved that response. I wish we would have gotten it on Thursday, and I wish we would have seen it last Sunday. But, those things have happened. We need to look toward the future, and there's just a good response from the team as a whole to the way that they played the last two games, and then also to Hugo's comments after the game on Thursday.
Yeah, I definitely get what you mean. It seems like there's been a new lease of life. The fact that we've seen these players come in and they haven't had much game time, they've actually got a point to prove. But like you said, between Vinny and Lucas, it was displayed across the pitch. There was a bit more of togetherness last night. And I think that's the thing that made me a lot more happier, in a sense that we're actually seeing the team gelling together once again, rather than being these individuals, which, like you said, Hugo's kind of pointed that out. And I think it was a good U-turn, obviously, for us to actually go out and get that win, which kind of brings me on to the next point. I know Shepard's said it in the chat already, and it does kind of bring me on to, I don't want to be too much of a downer on it, but obviously Dele Alli, once again, you could see him on the sideline putting the goalie gloves on his hand, because bless him, it was freezing last night. So Dáire, what do you make of Dele Alli at the moment? Do you think he's really got this team spirit at the moment, or do you think he's just kind of like Bale was at Real Madrid, just lapping it up, sitting on the bench, not really having a care in the world, really?
Yeah, do you know what? I've really been disappointed with how Dele has come back into the side. Like, I mean, Jose made it clear to Dele even last season when Jose was appointed that Dele could be the man if he wanted to be the man, and if he had the right attitude, he could be as good as he wants to be, basically. But he doesn't seem to want to. He doesn't seem to care a whole lot. I thought when he came back and played that game against Wolfsburger, when he got that incredible bicycle and he got the 2 assists, I said, this is Dele back now. This is Dele back to his best. We're going to see him as the number 10 for the rest of the season. But he has just been so disappointing, so lackluster. You go back to the point Dakota made there about Lucas needing to read that pass from Martinez. I don't think Dele Alli's making that ball. I don't think he is. So that's just the difference. He's not going to show that fight. He's not going to show that togetherness, that team spirit. And I think you touched on a Hollie there as well. Like, does he have that real oomph in his game? Does he have that fire? I think Roy Keane spoke about it before. Like, Dele seems to have lost his fire, and I think that could be right, to be honest. He just doesn't seem to have that desire anymore. I don't know what that's to do with his unhappiness at the club. He didn't get his move for PSG. I don't know what it is, but he just seems to have lost his fire for Spurs and lost his fire for the game, which is a real shame, because he could have been one of the top world beaters. It's a real shame. But yeah, I think Lucas and Gio, I'd be starting them over Dele any day of the week now these days, even Lamela.
Yeah, it's crazy. 2.5, 3 years ago, we're hearing rumors of Dele going to Madrid for 150 million pounds, and exactly. I'd maybe take 30 for him right now. That's maybe being generous.
It's just really sad, because I feel like we've kind of missed the trick with Dele. I feel like I've always said, like a loan move in January would have done the world of good, just because he would have reunited with Poch. There would have been a bit more confidence from him, change of scenery. He would have played some minutes, you'd like to think, and then he's the perfect opportunity to put him in the shop window, because then come the summer we could have got more money for him, because right now he's not doing anything on the bench, is he, apart from waving his goalie gloves around everywhere. But moving slightly away from Delhi and my bad jokes, I just want to pinpoint on Kane. Now, obviously, Kane, the man's just an insane beast. There's no other way to put it, really. But obviously, last night we saw that we were given a penalty after Matty Cash decided to come in like a bull in the china shop and completely kebab his leg. So, Dakota, what did you kind of make on the penalty? Because at the moment, there's a lot of controversy flying around left, right, and centre. So I'll come to you first, Dakota, and then we'll come to Dáire.
I think it is next level play from Harry Kane. The ball's obviously going out of play. So, and Kane is the caliber of him, just a player of him, knows that somebody is coming down hard on him. So I think he deliberately fakes like he's putting in a cross to get the slide to come, because he knows that it's going to be right on his foot, because that's where the ball would have been. So I think it's extremely clever stuff from Kane. I think, a football purist, I think, would maybe have an issue with this penalty, because that's just part of the game. But I think it's a modern penalty, right? It's getting called 10 times out of 10 because it's a slide tackle straight to the calf. So I think it's really clever play from Kane. He obviously has to make sure that his leg is over far enough to get some contact, which, that happened. And luckily he wasn't actually injured from it. But I think it's really clever stuff from Kane. And I can understand why people will be upset, but if that happens with the club you support, you're clamoring for a penalty all day long too, right?
Exactly that. And that's the thing. I think it was just very rash from Cash, the same way we saw the kind of same thing happen against Lacazette and Sanchez. Sanchez is coming like a bull in a china shop, but Lacazette knows he's going to do it. So I feel like it's the same kind of thing. So, Dáire, I'll come to you. What did you make, obviously, on the penalty? What was your kind of thoughts and feelings on it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a stonewall penalty all day long. You're delighted when they're given for you, and you're angry when they're given against you. It's kind of one of those, but they're always given. Look, it was clever play from Kane. It was clever play, and I don't buy this whole narrative that Kane is the golden boy for England and all this crack. I do not buy that one for 1 minute. He definitely doesn't get any special treatment from any commentators. In fact, I'd say the spotlight is on him more often than not as being a cheat, blah blah blah, and he gets more abuse than most players. I know the likes of Salah and stuff were thrown about there as well. In fairness, Salah does get a lot of gripe about it as well, but for the right reasons. Salah is known for his dramatics. So I mean, it's not like you're nitpicking Kane here. Like, I mean, it's not like Kane is alone here or anything like that. Like, it is clever play, and clever players get penalties, and there's a reason why he's a born winner. He's a born winner, and it's about time he wins one with Spurs.
That's what we kind of hope, isn't it? We all kind of hope and cross our fingers that's going to happen. But obviously, we see him put away his penalty again, and there's no doubt in my mind that that's going in. And obviously, we now come to realise that Harry Kane is only 100 goals away from beating Alan Shearer's record. So I'll come to you, Dakota. Do you think he will possibly stay in the Premier League? I know there's word about him leaving. I know it's not set in stone. Now, because that is on the cards, do you think if he doesn't stay with Spurs, he will definitely stay somewhere in the Premier League?
No, I think he loves the club too much to do that. I think if he moves, it will definitely be somewhere outside of England because of his love for Spurs. I don't think he would want to play Spurs ever. Maybe he would secretly hope in a Champions League final or something like that. But yeah, I think if he's moving, it's not anywhere in England. As much as he, I guarantee you Harry Kane knows exactly how many goals it's going to be for him to become top scorer in the club and top scorer in Premier League history. He 100% knows. And I also think that his love for Spurs is more than his desire to be the top goal scorer. If 100 of those goals need to come somewhere else in England at the detriment of Spurs.
I mean, I definitely get this. I mean, Jez has a totally different opinion. I mean, Jez, I'm ignoring it. But yeah, I do see what you mean. The trouble is, it depends whether he outweighs his love for the club for a trophy. That's the only thing that's really stuck in my mind. I mean, we don't know Kane personally. That's the only problem with me. Dáire, if he was to obviously leave, I know Dakota says that he's not going to go to the Prem, and I'm still torn. I'm not really too sure where I kind of sit with it. I think the real possibility is probably City. I mean, like Jez has said, I know he's joked about it, but I generally think it will be City. So, Dáire, if there did come the day that Kane left Tottenham, where would you think he'd go?
Yeah, see, I don't know. I've been kind of thinking that in my head as well, but like, it won't be Bayern, because they have Lewandowski. It won't be. I couldn't see it being Barca, to be honest. I just couldn't see it. Madrid, possibly. Benzema pushing on a little bit, but I mean, how old is Benzema? Is he 31? Something like that? Around that age?
I mean, 31, 32.
Yeah, 31, 32, something like that. So possibly Madrid, maybe, which would also break me as well, because it seems like we're like a shop window for Madrid. But I could see him, to be honest. It breaks my heart to say it, but I could see him at City. I really could. And I think they're one of about 3 clubs in the world that could afford him, and the other 2 being PSG and Madrid, probably. And Madrid are in a lot of debt at the moment too. So, and it looks like Madrid are kind of eyeing Mbappe or Haaland. So, kind of leaves City and PSG. So, if Kane is going to leave, I think it will be this summer. It seems like a kind of a crossroads for him. I know the pundits say it, and we all kind of say, it's all nonsense, like, you won't believe it. But yeah, it's going to take a lot for him to stay. I think Kane is kind of, in a weird way, he's kind of stuck at Spurs at the moment, because clubs don't have the money to pay for him. Levy is not going to let him leave for anything less than, I'm convinced, 150 million. So no one's going to pay that this summer. No one is going to pay that. I know City, I'm conscious that City are losing Aguero 100% this summer. So City are in the market for a striker. Kane is the best on the market, in my opinion. Maybe Haaland, you'd make that argument. But yeah, Kane, like, imagine Kane in that City lineup. That is just scary. That is just a horrible, horrible thought. Oh my God. I don't even want to imagine it past that flickering fleeting thought. But yeah, I could imagine him at City, unfortunately.
I mean, the other day I had Luke on, and he was adamant about United. And after he kind of explained to me his thoughts around it, I could kind of see where he's going. Obviously, he explained that Man United were on the cusp of their rebuild, so to speak. And obviously, they have fallen out after their Ferguson days. So do you reckon, Dakota, maybe United could be a shout? Or do you still adamant on the fact that you could only see him playing for Tottenham in the Prem?
Yeah, I just don't think... I think Harry Kane is a really great person, and I think that he puts that above anything sporting wise. I think PSG is the move. If he's leaving, he's going to go back to play with Poch at PSG, and who knows what dominoes are gonna happen. But if Mbappe leaves, that's the door wide open for PSG to come in and swoop Harry Kane down. And if we finish outside of top 4 and we don't win the Carabao Cup, so no Europe next year, I think that would be I think you could sell it as a really good season to go do something special domestically, because you don't have any European competitions to worry about. You're not playing every 3 days. You get your rest in your legs to go out and play really hard in the Premier League against these other teams. However, that's really hard to convince someone the caliber of Harry Kane, who's in his prime, to stay at a club that is not even in the running. It's not even possible to win a European trophy. So I'm really torn about whether or not he's going to stay or go. I don't blame him if he wants to go, but like's already been said, who in this COVID market is going to be able to afford him? There's three, maybe 4 teams that can afford him, and 2 of them don't even need somebody like Harry Kane. So, but yeah, I'm adamant that he's not playing anywhere in the Prem other than in a Spurs shirt.
I hope you're right, Dakota. I hope that does come true, and we're worrying.
I want that belief, please.
Me too.
But obviously, I know, Luke. I know you don't want him to leave. Nobody wants him to leave. It's all good. Yeah, obviously. So somebody also said up here, where is it? So Mexico, thank you for joining. I know this is your first time. I did see it in the comments earlier, so welcome. We've said obviously the problem if we sell Kane, it's not only a striker and his goals we're losing, we're also losing his defending. Now, obviously, I know there's an awful lot of criticism on Jose, but the one thing I can say that he has done well is take Kane from here to here. And I fully back that statement. So, Dáire, is that another massive problem? Obviously, the fact that exactly like Dakota's done, he's completely boomed.
Explode. Wasn't that the word Jose used?
Yep. I can help you.
Yeah.
Explode.
Yeah.
Exactly that. So, Dáire, I mean, I know obviously there's lots of different opinions on Jose, but is that something we can just kind of be like, actually, he has actually done one thing that he said and he has come to do. He's actually fulfilled it.
Yeah, 100%. I would agree with that. I never saw Kane as a creator, like never. Like he was the poacher. He was the man. Like he doesn't get too many goals from outside the box. I know he gets maybe 1 or 2 a season, but it's his passing range this season. I haven't been able to get over it. It has just been outrageously good. It's his awareness, his comfortability dropping into a midfield area, his defending, everything. He is the complete striker. He's the complete player. And I think if you're losing a player like Kane, you're using your talisman, you're losing Mr. Tottenham, you're losing kind of a soul, really, to be honest, if you're losing Kane. Like, he is the driving force of the team, the brand, everything. He's the captain of England. I think it would, like, that painful rebuild that Poch talked about, that is the pain. I think that it doesn't get any more painful than losing Kane, to me. So yeah, I totally agree though. Jose has definitely brought him on to the next level. Yeah, I think he can only get better, to be honest. I think we haven't even seen the absolute best of him yet. Yeah, I could see him even getting better even next season.
I hope so, and I hope, like we've all kind of said,
in a Spurs shirt, obviously.
In a Spurs shirt, 100%. Obviously, I just want to try and divert it back to the game. So obviously the first half, I think it was kind of a bit mismatchy in a sense that although our defending was pretty much more bodies on the line, I feel second half we kind of just shaped it up a bit better. Obviously we lost Reguilon, and to be fair to you, I was absolutely bricking it for Davies coming on. But Dakota, do you think Davies actually, I don't know, there was a new fire born within him last night?
Yeah, I think the thing with Ben Davies is you know what you're going to get every single time he steps on the pitch, right? He's going to be consistent. Whether that's good or bad, he's going to be consistent the whole time he's on the pitch. And yeah, it seemed like he felt a freedom to move forward, and maybe that was because he knew that Lucas Moura was on the left hand side, so he felt like he could get a little more forward because he was going to have some cover on the back. We know that Sonny does his fair share of tracking back, but you know Lucas is like that. He's like an annoying flea. It's just everywhere at the wrong time, but right time for us, wrong time for the opponent, you know? So I wonder if that played into it a little bit too. Also, Joe Rodon is right next to him. Joe Rodon and Ben Davies play right next to each other in the Wales squad too. So maybe there's a little bit of more familiarity there that added into it. But I was really relieved to see Sergio Reguilon post on Instagram after the match that, you know, all good. So we don't have to worry about him missing any time. So, but yeah, I have no issues with Ben Davies coming on. I think he offers a lot to us defensively, and you know, with a 2-0 lead, that's totally fine. To make sort of a defensive substitution like that. So, yeah, I feel super indifferent when it comes to Ben Davies. Like I don't really care one way or the other. There's no like reaction like, oh man, Ben Davies is in the game, or like, yes, Ben Davies is coming in. Like he's like a lukewarm tea to me. Like, cool, I'll drink it, I guess.
I like it. And to be fair, you do make a pretty valid point, because obviously when we didn't have Reguilon, we were trying to ask him to bomb forward, and that really isn't his natural forte, shall to speak, because I don't think he managed to take anyone on. But like you said, he's capable at defending, and when you've got a 2-0, well, 1-0 advantage at that point, you kind of want him to be able to be stood at the back. So I like what you said there. I wasn't really thinking of it like that. But like, Scott said here, Davies should is a good squad player to back up, right? And it's a fair comment. And like you said, Dakota, you've kind of enlightened me a bit, because it's like most things at the moment, I kind of sit there and think, oh my Lord, what is going on here? But regardless, obviously Dakota, we need to talk about Højbjerg as well, because I think in recent weeks, I think he's kind of dipped from form. I mean, you could say that about a lot of players, but I feel like him holding that defence up has really done his back in, so to speak, pardon the pun. But he has literally put them in the back of his backpack and tried to lift them up throughout the whole of the season. So what are your thoughts on Højbjerg? Do you think Højbjerg and Ndombele work well as a pivot? Or do you think maybe in the future, if Skip does come back, if he doesn't decide to stay at Norwich, do you think that would work better?
I absolutely love the Højbjerg and Ndombele pivot. That's my preferred. Over on Podspur, I've been like, I think it was like October when I said the first time, like, this needs to happen. And I don't care if Tangnga is going to play 50 minutes at the pivot role because he's worn himself out. This needs to happen because it opens up our front four. I think it just gives us the opportunity to just be more attacking, and I think he can do the defensive work, and obviously he's proved that over and over again. So I think he's great in that role. I think when Skip comes back, he will be Højbjerg's cover. Hollie, this is going to hurt you as much as it's going to hurt me to say. Harry Winks needs to leave in the summer. He needs to leave. Yeah.
There we go. He's gone.
Yeah,
he needs to leave in the summer. It's best for both parties at this point.
Yeah, it's a tough one to stomach, but we move anyway. But I was just gonna flip it to Dáire. Do you think
Højbjerg's cover and the bit we got for at this point?
Oh. Is he back?
Is he gone?
Is he in the room?
Hello?
Is he gone?
Hello?
He's not smiley this time. There he is. He's back. So, Dáire, I'll come to you. Obviously, Dakota's obviously spoke about this pivot, which I think is working quite well. But what did you make of Ndombele last night? Because I did make a point of saying that man has got more roulettes than a casino. What do you make of his sleeky feet? I mean, it's just immense.
He is outrageous, and I think he is the perfect kind of foil for Højbjerg as well. You know, he's the perfect man to have beside him, because Højbjerg likes to be that kind of dominator in that midfield. He likes to break up the play. He likes to pass that ball off. He doesn't like to hold on to it for too long. And so that, like, Ndombele is the complete opposite. Ndombele, when he's on the ball, I think Gary Neville touched on it, he always looks like he's just that close to losing the ball, and then he finds space somewhere that doesn't seem to exist, and he just shifts it between his feet and he gets out of there. His ability to move between spaces is ridiculous. He is insane at it. He's unbelievable to carry the ball. He's a good passer, and has a shot on him. I think he's as good a number 8 style midfielder. He's back.
Unbelievable.
But yeah, like that, like he's the perfect man to have beside Højbjerg. I'd echo what Dakota said there. I wouldn't be changing that for the world. I wouldn't want anyone beside him. Now, I do think Skip will be in the squad next season, hopefully, unless he, touch wood, he won't, but unless he moves permanently to Norwich, because they seem to love him over there. But I think Skip could be a real player for us in the future. So I hope he's.
Oh no!
I'm back. Am I?
He's back. Is he back? He's back.
I'm back. Yeah, I'm back now. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
My word! I thought my internet was bad. Jesus.
That was shocking. Apologies.
I just want to.
Skip.
Oh, sorry, Karen.
No, I was glad. Yeah, Skip, good player. Love him. That was basically
I just want to talk about what 90 Minutes has said. Obviously, Dembele for me is just different gravy. Now, if Ndombele can live up to Dembele, we are pretty much living lavish, because obviously the days of Dembele and Wanyama are something incredible. But Dakota, do you think it's too soon to compare the two?
Whether it's too soon or not, I think it's happening. And to be fair, it happened the moment we signed Tanguy. Everybody was like, "Oh, well, here's our new Dembele," and then he didn't really play for a year, and everybody said, let's sell him for less than we bought him for. And now everyone is trying to delete their tweets and say that they never saw that because he's turned into just a saucy baller, right? So I think it's difficult to compare the two because I think Tanguy offers us a lot more moving forward than just a ball progressor, So what I do hope that Tanguy kind of grows into, he's only 23, right? 24, something like that. He's still kind of young. What I hope he grows into is that kind of leadership, kind of swagger that Dembele had about him. That, I'm going to poke your eye out at Stamford Bridge type energy. That's what I want to see from Tanguy. And I don't think he's quite there yet. But I think that's an age thing. I think it's a maturity thing. I think that's a comfortableness in your squad, in your house, in the place I think all that just kind of goes along with that confidence. And that's what I want to see from Tanguy next season. That for me is the next level of his growth, to have half of Pierre-Emile Højbjerg's leadership next to Højbjerg would be just huge in that midfield.
I think that's definitely something we lack. Obviously, there's only a few players that I'd sit here and say have real leadership. I mean, we have Lloris as our captain, and to be fair to him, I did kind of respect the thing he came out with after that Europa League game. But do I really see it on the pitch? I'm not too sure. It's hard to tell. But Højbjerg is definitely someone, I don't know whether Viking nature in him, that just commands the pitch. And I think we do kind of miss most of that. And I mean, the Harry Winks slander is just phenomenal tonight. We love it. But it is true. I think, sadly, Harry Winks is one of those players that needs to leave, as much as it pains me. And I think I have probably cursed him to the ends of the earth. But never mind. Something that Mexico Spurs has said is, so I'll throw it to you, Dáire. Why is Ndombele incapable of completing 90 minutes regularly? What is it? What is the game with him?
I don't know. Is it a tactical thing more so than he's incapable? I think it's more like he has such, I suppose, what would you say? How do you word this properly? It's more like seeing out a game. Tanguy is amazing with his turn of pace and everything like that, and his ingenuity on the ball and stuff like that. But Sissoko is more of like the assured player. You know what you get with Sissoko. Like, you'd never call him a very particularly interesting footballer. Doesn't offer you much either side of the field, I would say. Not great going forward, not that good defensively. But he'll do a job. He'll sit there and just, I don't know, exist and, play the ball off to someone else. Whereas Ndombele might try something a little bit riskier, possibly would be what I would say. But like, Ndombele has completed 90 minutes more regularly towards the last few months. At the start of the season, I was kind of worried about his fitness, and I think that was Jose's worry last season as well. Was his fitness and maybe his attitude, and how he was unsettled and stuff like that. But I think he's settled now, and I think if he had to complete 90 minutes, he would. And I think that's more of a tactical decision than it is a fitness issue anymore, to be honest.
I mean, that is a fair point. I used to call him Ndombele's to now Ndombele. So I think we've definitely seen an improvement, so to speak. So, yeah, I just hope there's more of it to come and he can slowly fill that tank up. So I want to come to you, Dakota. Obviously, we kind of highlighted on the fact that we've crashed out the Europa League. I've just kind of needed to leave it a little bit. Yep. But obviously, it's gone from my mind.
What's the Europa League?
Yeah, what is that? I don't know what that
Champions League. We're going for Champions League. Yeah, we don't want the Europa League anyway. Waste time.
I like it. But obviously, with that win at the weekend, and I'm trying not to get too optimistic because I know it's the hope that crushes you. But do you think maybe if we do manage to pick up this form now, after we've seen that everybody seems to be gelling together once again, and there seems to be some fight for the badge, would you necessarily say our season's dead if we can't manage to get top four? Do you think it could now be on to reach top four?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question, right? And we're like, it's such an interesting moment, right? Because the sky is falling, like literally, the sky's falling. Our season's done, right? You look at the Premier League form table, we're top in the last 5 games. Nobody has more points or a better goal difference than Spurs. So it's like, it's such a weird time, right? I think let's just win the rest of our games and see what happens, I think is the attitude that the team needs to have. If we had won on Sunday, we'd be in control of our own destiny, so to speak, because we would have been 3 points back from fourth with a game in hand and a better goal difference. So that's out the window. We need a little bit of help now. But, in the beginning of the season, over on the Podspur channel, we had said, let's collectively come up with a successful season. What's a successful season? And it's at least one trophy and finishing top 4. Well, we're in a final of a domestic cup, and the race for top 4 is on, as nervy as it may look. So in terms of a successful season, in the midst of all this just trash, hot garbage that's happened over the last week and a half, we can still have a successful season. I don't think any of us will remember it as being a successful season, but we can accomplish our goals. So it's a really interesting moment that we have going on here, but I'm excited for the top 4 race. I think we've got something cooking.
I like the optimism. I love it, because in the past week, I feel like I've jumped off the skywalk, not going to lie, with the bad form that we've been having. But obviously, I want to come to you, Dáire, again. Is that your kind of sentiment as well? Do you think we can maybe push on and hopefully, I mean, if the likes of, say, Chelsea slip up, that's our time to jump, basically?
Yeah. To be honest, I think it's going to have to be Leicester. I can't see Chelsea dropping. I hate looking at other teams and what they're doing and stuff, but I think it'll have to be, you're looking at Leicester. You're looking at finishing above Leicester, to be honest, because Chelsea, Tuchel has them regimentalized.
Yes,
look at Adam Martin, good man yourself.
Inject it.
I think, love that. But yeah, I think Chelsea are so regimentalized now. They'll grind out that top 4, whether they deserve it or not doesn't matter, because they're probably going to get it. So yeah, I think, but I would give us a great chance. I would give us a great chance amidst the massive crisis and existential disaster we're going through at the moment. It could happen. I definitely wouldn't rule us out like a lot of people are. It's going to be interesting. Now. It's going to show a lot of character now if we do make it, and you'd have to say kudos to Jose and the squad for pulling it if we do. The cup, I think we have a good shot at the cup. I think we have a really good shot at the cup. For some reason, for some weird blind faith I have in Spurs, I think we have a good shot at beating City on our day. City they don't like playing us, and I know they beat us a few weeks back, but they don't like playing us on a general basis. And why not believe? If we don't believe and we lose, then we'll be like, you'd be even more depressed. So at least you're going to have some sort of happiness at least beforehand. You may as well believe. What have you got to lose?
Right. That's a really good point too about Leicester, because we saw towards the end of last season, and I think maybe the season before that, the last month or two of just not stop losing. So if that happens again and we keep up this top of the table form that we're on right now, it just sounds so funny saying it in the midst of this, like you said, existential just crisis that's happening. It'll be a fun finish. Do we play them last game of the season again this year? Is Leicester our last game again?
I have a funny feeling it's either last or second last anyway. One of them.
I ain't got a clue.
It'd be interesting if that came down to who finishes top 4.
I think it'll have to be Leicester. We're going to finish above Leicester.
A true athlete, Hollie.
That's what I mean. Tunnel vision, man. It's just one game at a time. That's how I can only focus, I think. I mean, my brain's all over the place.
I like
it. But yeah, I mean, like you've both kind of said, I think if I'm going to be here and be real, I think one man that I want taking us into a cup final is Jose. That's just kind of how it is for me. I think the fact that he's been there, got the T-shirt, and I know it's cliche, but you want someone that knows the pressure of a cup final. And I think for me, Jose Mourinho is that guy. I know he's had his faults during the season, but you've also got to look at that back four and think to yourself, well, could I do any better with that back four trying to command it? I'm not too sure. So, but yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I do, John. It's coming. I think I should just get into it more often. I think I should get paid more, to be honest. It's been a real struggle recently. But anyway, I just want to say thank you both for joining me tonight. It's been a good chat, and like I say, it's been brilliant to actually talk about a win for once. I mean, it's been quite depressing, but it's been good. So I just want to come to you first, Dáire, aka Spurs Views. So where can everybody find you doing your thing?
Yeah, guys, you can find me on at Spurs Views _ there. Should be on the screen there for you. I'm only on Twitter, not on any other form of social media. But yeah, get follow me for more Spurs discussion and content.
Love it, Dáire. And also Dakota, who's been brilliant from across the pond. Obviously, where can everybody find you, Dakota? I know Podspur is growing and getting bigger, and it's great to see. So let everybody know where they can find you. No, don't crash now, Dakota. This is your big moment.
Nah, don't bother, Dakota. Couldn't be bothered. He's too many followers. Follow limit reached.
Oh no. Should I be his own? Gone. I think just the pressure of it.
Him there, Hollie. Try plug him.
So Dakota, big man Dakota from across the pond. You can find him on Podspur. They do a brilliant podcast. I mean, their accents for one, just like is beautiful, shall we say? It is quite good in it. So make sure
calming or something, isn't it? Just makes you feel like everything's going to be okay.
It's the optimism as well. It just enlightens me. I love it. But yeah, I'm sure Dakota wouldn't mind. So make sure after this video, I'll put all the links and descriptions everywhere. But check out Podspur and Dakota on Twitter. Oh, hang on. Oh, there's two of them.
Two Dakotas.
Hey.
Hey. England's really far away. Even for the internet. But yeah, you can find me on all the socials.
Go for it.
You can find me on all the socials at Dakota J Booth. Follow Podspur on Twitter at Tottenham Pod. We do blogs too. We do live reactions to lineups and all that. So on the YouTube channel Podspur TV. So, but before you do any of that, make sure that you have liked and subscribed and are tuning into everything that Hollie Aghambar puts out, because it is top class.
It wouldn't be top class though if I didn't have amazing guests. So thank you both. There you go. I like to spin it on its head. But I echo what Dakota said. If you are new and you haven't liked yet, please do so and hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to hit 1K. It's been a very, very long and hard journey, but we're finally getting there. The end is in sight. But until next time, I want to thank you all for watching, and come on, you Spurs.
COYS, come on, you Spurs.